Engines to the rescue. It was winter on the island of Sodor. The weather was cold and the sky was black and stormy. In the engine shed, the drivers were talking about a terrible thing that had happened. In a fierce storm, high winds had blown a big tanker ship off course. It had run aground on the rocks near the entrance to the harbour. Thick black oil had seeped out of its tanks and the sea was washing it up onto the beaches. As the men talked, Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "I know you've heard about the tanker running aground," he told the men. "I've just had a call from the harbour master. Lots of seabirds are covered in the oil. They have to be taken to the animal rescue centre as soon as possible so that they can be cleaned up. They can't swim or fly with oil on their wings and will die if it isn't washed off." "Can we help?" asked one of the drivers. "Yes," replied Sir Topham Hatt. "I've offered to send trains to bring the birds from the shore to the cleaning centre. We can't spare all the engines, but we'll help as much as we can." The engines all wanted to help, but they couldn't all go. Some had to do their normal jobs. Gordon had to pull the express, so he couldn't help. Edward would be too busy with trucks in the yard, so he had to stay behind. So did Percy. Henry was able to go. He always pulls the flying kipper which carries fish from the harbour, but it was too rough for the fishing boats to go out, so he was free. James was very proud of his smart red paint and was a bit worried about getting it covered in oil, but he still wanted to help too. "The oil will wash off," his driver told him. Thomas went too because Clarabel had lots of space for the boxes the birds were carried in. Annie carried passengers as usual, but not her normal ones. This time she carried workers who were going to help clean up the beaches. The three engines set off for the beach. Soon all three were loaded with crates and boxes full of birds. There were a lot of birds covered in the sticky black oil, and the engines felt very sorry for them. Thomas, James and Henry steamed off as fast as they could, and soon the boxes of birds were being unloaded at the station near the cleaning centre. Bertie the bus was able to help too. He ran backwards and forwards, taking the birds from the station to the cleaning centre. The engines and Bertie worked very hard for the next few days. Every morning the beach looked a little cleaner and there were fewer birds to take for cleaning. Soon their special job was over and the engines were able to go back to their normal jobs, but it didn't stop them wondering how the birds were getting on. One morning, as he steamed into the main station, Thomas thought the weather felt a little warmer. He noticed the sun peeping out from behind a grey cloud. "I think spring is on the way at last," he told the other engines. That same morning, Sir Topham Hatt asked Thomas, James and Henry if they were ready to help with the birds again, but he didn't have bad news for them this time. He didn't ask them to take oiled birds to the cleaning centre. "No," said Sir Topham Hatt. "This is a much happier job for you. This time I want you to take the birds from the cleaning centre back to the shore. They've all been cleaned up now and are ready to be released." The engines were pleased to help. They had another busy time collecting the birds from Bertie, then taking them to the shore. They were glad to see the beaches were clean again. As soon as the boxes were opened, some birds flew away. The sky was full of their beating wings. Others swam out to sea. They seemed glad to be free again. "Peep, peep," said Thomas, watching them. "Poop, poop," said Henry. "Good luck," called James.